Hi, Mike Rhodes here, and I want to give you some free resources to help you sell more of your products from your Shopify store, because I'm guessing you're already on Facebook ads, but maybe you've looked at Google ads and run away screaming, because it is bloody complicated. There are so many pieces to the puzzle, but that's what I want to lay out step by step in this video and give you a checklist, a bunch of free resources, a free template, and the nasty code that you need in order to make all of this work. Because it's not just these two things that you have to worry about. You got to worry about Google Merchant Center, which sits in between Shopify and Google Ads. It's kind of a halfway house for your data. So your data, your product feed, which is just the database of all of the products that you sell on Shopify, before you give that to Google Ads, it has to pass through Google Merchant Center, which basically checks and cleans your data and then says, yep, all of these products are fine. They can go on to Google Ads and you're allowed to then run ads, and you have to set that up in Google Ads. Now, if you want any kind of reporting for what happens next, what happens after the click, how people use your website, you're going to want Google Analytics. Now, you probably already have this. It just may not be set up the right way. So we'll look at some resources for that. Tag Manager is a wonderful way to get code installed on your site. To do all of this, all the steps I'm about to lay out for you, you're going to need a little bit of extra code on your site. Tag Manager will need your developer the first time to set this up. And then after that, it's a way for you then to be able to put code on various bits of your website. You're also going to need a tool, something like Data Feed Watch. Now, there are free apps in Shopify that help this process, but they're clunky, not very easy to use. There are highly, highly expensive things that are going to cost you hundreds, if not thousands per month, depends on how many products you have. Data Feed Watch is a great starting point. It's about $1 a day, and if you're not willing to spend $1 a day on your store, then you're probably not going to get the sales that you want. It's a wonderful tool. I'll show you how to set that up. And then so that you don't have to log into all of this geeky stuff, I'm going to give you a template that I've built for you in Data Studio. Data Studio is a reporting, it's a dashboarding tool that pulls all the data from the various places and presents it on one page, which is what you want to be able to check either maybe a couple of minutes a day, maybe 10 minutes a week, to be able to go to one place and look at that. That changes in real time, so you don't have to log into all these different things. You just go to the URL, have a look at that, and you can see how much you've spent, how much revenue you've made, how many sales, which top products are selling. It's all there on one page, just to make life easy. Who am I? I don't like talking about myself, but I'm Mike Rhodes. G'day. I'm the co-author of the world's best-selling book on Google Ads with a guy called Perry Marshall, who you may have heard of, and his brother Brian Todd. I've run my agency, Web Savvy, for 13 years. That's how we came up with all of these checklists. We've been doing this for clients for a long time. We've made plenty of mistakes along the way. We've created this checklist of 50 plus steps. That's what I want to give you. So websavvy.com.au/Shopify. Go there to get the resources at any time, or feel free to keep watching and I'll explain it. I've also discovered I'm a teacher at heart. I love teaching other people how to do this stuff. So Agency Savvy is our sister business where I teach predominantly agency owners, but also in-house marketers, business owners, marketing managers, agency teams, how to both build their agency, but also how to do all of the stuff that we do when it comes to Google Ads, Analytics, Facebook, Data Studio, Google Shopping, all of this stuff. So, what are the 3 steps to get this right? First thing you're going to need to do is to set up all of these different pieces and connect them in the right way. Then we're going to create a Google campaign. I'm actually going to give you 3 campaigns that I suggest that you run to squeeze the most out of this. And then to really squeeze the most out of this, to get the best return on your advertising dollar, I'm going to give you some extra steps to do. They're optional. And all of those, obviously, the checklist I mentioned, websavvy.com.au/Shopify. So what are we talking about? We're talking about these ads down the side of Google. Sometimes you'll see them in a row across the top of Google as well. You'll also see them these days on YouTube more and more, at the top of Google Images if you've done an image search recently. And you'll start seeing these pop up on more and more websites. Why? Because Google know they work. Let me show you some numbers. So about 3.5 billion searches are done on Google every single day. depending on which report you read, and there is differing information on this because Google aren't very clear about this, but about 70% of the non-brand search clicks, just to be technically correct, are clicks on these shopping ads. That means clicks on these shopping ads rather than the text ads that you see across the top or the bottom of the page on Google. And Google tell us that about a third of the people that click on one of these ads go on to buy a product within 5 days. What does that mean for you? It means that there are a lot of people searching for the stuff that you sell, and a ton of them are searching Google. Granted, an awful lot of people are buying from Amazon these days. Maybe you're already up and running with Facebook ads, which is awesome. But if you're not running Google Shopping ads, you're leaving money on the table. That's what this video is designed to fix. Does it work? Let me give you a couple of very, very quick examples here. This was a client, very, very small client, only making a couple of $100 a week revenue, but we could see the growth potential with this client. By adding Google Shopping, they're now making $3,000 a week just 3 months later. At the other end of the scale, bigger client, long-term client, been with us for something like 5 years, doing about $100,000 a month when they started. That's now up to almost $2 million a month, hoping to get them there this silly season with Thanksgiving and Christmas just around the corner at the time of recording. And then a very recent client, this is very top of mind for me at the moment, national retailer, stores all over the country. They were doing about $25,000 a month in revenue, which is great, but they didn't have Google Shopping set up the right way. We got it set up the right way, made a few tweaks. They're now doing 3 times as much revenue. And you can see that red line there, which is the revenue, grew very quickly once we made those changes. That's what I want for your store. There are people searching Google every day. By putting these ads in front of them, and yes, there's a bit of work to both set it up, but then ongoing to run this thing, but they're there, they're searching, and they've got credit card in hand. Done the right way, this will have a positive impact on your business. Our typical returns, I mean, it varies vastly depending on the store and what they sell, but I'd say anywhere between 5 and 10x return is pretty typical. In other words, tip $1 in, get $5 back. Tip $1 in, get $5 back. How often do you want to play that game? So can you do this? Well, that's the point of this video, is to lay out these steps for you in almost excruciating detail, I think you'll find. These are the big picture first. Let's go Shopify. We want to run ads on Google. So shut up, Google. My Google Home is now talking to me because I'm talking about Google. Shush. Google Merchant Center. Again, the halfway house that sits in between the two. Tag Manager is a way to install code on your site without having to go and hack Shopify themes. Data Feed Watch is kind of the I'm not going to say secret sauce because it's not secret and that's just silly, but it's the bit that makes it all work really, really well. So basically taking the list of your products, instead of just giving that to Google and saying, there you go, figure it out. If we just tweak, particularly the titles of your products, enrich and enhance that data before we give it to Google, it helps Google understand what it is that you sell. Now, Google should figure that out, but really it's only got the data that you give it in order to figure that out. So by tweaking that a little bit, we can help Google understand better, which means it puts your products in front of the right people, shows your products more often, which means you should get more revenue. And then the reporting side of this, again, I want to make that easy for you with the template, but Google Analytics, wonderful tool, hardly ever set up properly. Every business has it. No business knows how to use it, so don't feel bad if you don't. Data Studio is that real-time dashboard that I mentioned before. So the 50 plus steps, let's go through these. And again, on the resources that you're going to download, I've got the expected time for each of these steps, what it's going to take. I've got all of these steps in order. The time, by the way, in case you're wondering, was about 700 minutes when I added it all up. That's about 12 hours. So there is a bit of work involved here, but I'm assuming that you're fairly new to all of these tools. So if you've used these tools before, I'm sure you'd be able to do it faster than that. I'm a big believer in who, not how. So you may want to just delegate this and get it done. Hand this off to your Shopify developer. go hire someone on Upwork or Fiverr to get them to do this. Yeah, obviously my business does this all the time for clients. Yes, we have a service that does this, but not here to sell this. I just want you to know that this is possible, to have the resources. So websavvy.com.au/Shopify. There's a big list of all of these steps on there with the links to more resources to help you go step by step through each of these. Whew. Right, so Shopify. I'm assuming at this point you've got Shopify set up. You're going to need to connect this to other things. So you're going to need particularly to add the Google Analytics code to Shopify. Most of the other code we're going to do over in Tag Manager. You're going to need to install the Data Feed Watch app. So you just go to the Shopify App Store and search for that. You'll find an app called Google Shopping, by the way. A lot of Shopify users will use this Google Shopping app. I'm going to suggest that you actually remove that and use a tool like Data Feed Watch. The Google Shopping app is free, but again, it's difficult to use. It's not going to get you the best results. Data Feed Watch has a bunch more power, relatively easy to use without the expense of the multi-$100 tools. It costs about $1 a day, depending on how many products you have. You're going to add some conversion code, and the DRM stands for Dynamic Remarketing. You've seen these ads. You visit a site, you view a particular product, and then that product appears to be following you around the web for the next few days. Done badly, dynamic remarketing can be creepy, can be a bit weird. Done well, though, it's one of your best performing ad campaigns. It's just a gentle reminder to someone to come back to your store and finish that checkout process. And once they buy from you, you stop showing ads. So it doesn't get annoying. You're not going to piss anybody off. It's not creepy anymore like it was in 2011-ish when this launched. It's going to get you a good return. Test all of that. Push that out. Right. Google Ads. Used to be called Google AdWords, now called Google Ads. Again, you're going to link that to Google Analytics so that your reporting works. You're going to set up tracking. That's the wonderful thing about this stuff, is it's all trackable. So you know exactly what happened to every click. You know which products people are clicking on more. You know which of those clicks turn into sales and which ones don't, so that you can do more of the good and less of the bad. Spend more money on the clicks that turn into sales, turn into revenue. Stop spending money on the stuff that doesn't work. Now, I'm not going to go in the course of this video into how you do that. There's tons of free resources out there. Yes, we've got a bunch of courses on Agency Savvy. Again, not here to sell those. Somebody, I'm sure, can help you with that. You're going to set up the tracking, set up your dynamic remarketing code, and create your remarketing lists. So in order to show a remarketing ad, you need to first have some code that grabs people's details, essentially. You're not going to see their details, it just stores it in Google. You build a list, which is a way to say to Google, this group of people over here, please. And then you're going to need a campaign that says, these are the ads I want to show to this list of people. It's kind of like an invisible email list. You don't get to see the details of the people on that list, but Google knows who they are. So when someone comes to your site, you're just saying, Google, hey, remember this person? Later on, I want to show them an ad. You figure out all the geeky stuff in between, please. So you're going to build some campaigns in Google. Again, we'll go through the 3 main campaigns that you need in a moment. And you're going to set up your billing, because Google isn't going to show a single ad until you give it your credit card number. And then you can go live. Google Merchant Center, or GMC. So you're going to set up your account there, link that to Google Ads. You've got to name your store, but also claim and verify, basically so that Google knows you are who you say you are. So you've got to take a little piece of code there, put it on your website in order for Google to say, oh, yep, okay, you must control this website, so I believe you now. Bonus points, you're going to set up your shipping and your tax, and you can even set up promotions. You'll see this sometimes under a Google ad. It'll say little 5% off, 25% off, flash sales and so on. That's where you set that up, is in Google Merchant Center. You're going to add the feed. We're going to create that in a minute over in Data Feed Watch, and obviously test all of that out, and then you're good to go. Your reporting in Google Analytics. So we've got to set up your account there. Create the tracking code. I'll give you a link of how to find that. We've got to link Google Analytics to Google Ads. I know we linked Google Ads to Analytics already, but we've got to do that both ways. Enable dynamic remarketing over in Google Analytics and set up some lists there as well. And then the first geeky codey bit, which is to create our custom dimensions and dynamic attributes. Don't worry, I'll give you links for that as well. Tag Manager. Tag Manager is like this empty box that sits on every page of your site. Once the box is set up, then you can take whatever code you want and put it in those boxes and say, this code only in this box on this page, please. This piece of code on every page, please. So a little bit of work to set it up, but then you don't have to go back to your developer every single time you want to make a change. So if you want to add some Google code or some Facebook code or the LinkedIn remarketing pixel, you can do it yourself once Tag Manager is set up. So you set up all the various codes, the tags and triggers is the posh name for all that stuff on Tag Manager. Again, test all of that and then push that live. Data Feed Watch. This is where we enrich and enhance the data. In other words, we give Google more information, better information about the various products that you sell, so it can better match those to the people searching every single day. It's a little complicated to do this, but again, I'll give you all the links of how to do that stuff because that may be a bit confusing to you. What the heck does map fields means? It basically just means Shopify calls it one thing, Google calls it another, and we just have to join the dots for it and explain what these various things are. The channel that you're going to create is for Google Shopping. Now you can use the same tool, by the way, to create feeds for Facebook or feeds for Amazon or feeds for eBay if you want to do that. And then Data Studio, again, logging into all of this geeky stuff, I know that is not going to be your favorite activity. You want a one-page real-time dashboard where you can see exactly what's happening. So I've created that dashboard for you, and I'm going to give you a template that you can copy. All you have to do is plug in your Google data, and then that dashboard will work for you. Test it, and away you go. Good to go. So this is the spreadsheet that I'm going to give you. Let me get rid of that little thing. I've no idea if you can see that, but I'll get rid of that just in case. This is the spreadsheet that I'm going to give you that lists all of those steps that we've just been through, but I've put them in the right order in here rather than attach them to the tool. I've put an expected time there as well. Again, it came out to about 700 minutes or about 12 hours. This assumes a very, very basic level of knowledge with these tools. If you've used these tools before, you'll be able to do it in less. And then I've linked to the various Help Center articles there if you or whoever's doing this for you need more information about any of those steps. I'm also giving you a link of how to import this into Asana. I love Asana. It's a great task management system. So if you want to pull it into Asana so that you can tick all of these off one by one as you go, then that is good to go. Right, so you've got your checklist. Now, the most important part of the whole thing is to get your ads up and running on Google Ads. There are 3 critical campaigns that we need to worry about. The first is your brand. So people that are searching for your store or you by name, we want to make sure that they can find you and not see some competitor ads at the top of the page that's pushing your organic listing, your free listing on Google. Maybe that's been pushed further down because a bunch of people are running ads above you. By running your own brand campaign, you ensure that almost all the time you are now going to be the only ad at the top of the page. And yes, I know there's an argument to not do this because, well, I've got the first organic listing. Surely they're going to find me anyway. Why do I really need to pay for this? We've got tons of data that show that this is almost always a good thing to do. It's going to cost you a tiny, tiny amount, relatively speaking. It's going to lead to a whole bunch of sales. It's going to send Google good signals about your account. And I have a bunch of data that shows that this gets you incremental revenue over and above what you would get if you weren't running these campaigns. Google have got a bunch of this data too, funnily enough, but we've tested this. I've worked with some very big brands to test whether this works for them. I can't mention their names, but needless to say, their brand ads are running again. This is almost always a very good thing to do. But of course, you didn't come here to learn about brand campaigns. This is about shopping. Now, there's 2 ways to set up a shopping campaign. Google have this thing called smart shopping, which, as the name kind of implies, is its fancy AI machine learning. Only it ain't all that smart just yet. Sometimes it works really well, and when it does, it's awesome. but a lot of times it looks like it's working well and then crashes with a thump. Even if it does work well, you're handing over all control to Google. You're saying, Google, you figure out which products to show to who, how much to bid, when to show my remarketing ad, when to show my shopping ad. You figure everything out for me, which may sound very appealing right now. The problem is, if you don't have the fundamentals in place, when things go wrong, you've got nothing to fall back on. So my suggestion would be, particularly at the beginning, is to set this up manually. Yes, it's a bit more work, and yes, you may have to invest a bit in your education, or ideally go find someone to do this for you. Again, I'm a huge fan of who, not how. So don't worry about how to run the shopping campaign. Just find the right who to run that for you. Manual campaigns are probably going to work better for you. There will come a point in time, I don't know when that's going to be, where the machine is better at this than humans, but we're not there yet. Also, right at the beginning, you don't have any data. You don't have any sales data. So the machine is guessing, and the machine needs to get a lot of data before it's able to do the promised thing, which is to get you better and better results, to get you a good ROI. So you don't want to spend a ton of money for the machine to learn. A smart human being is going to be able to use all of their previous experience to get this campaign working better sooner for less investment. Don't get me wrong, it is not going to be profitable week one. It may not be profitable month one. It really depends who's running the campaign and how much you're spending on it each day, how much you're learning. Don't expect it to be profitable month one, but give it the time it deserves, tip some effort in, and this stuff will work well for your business. Now, the last campaign is that dynamic remarketing that I mentioned earlier. Now, yes, you can have regular remarketing as well, but dynamic remarketing just means that it's dynamically changing the ad to show the products that the person has just been looking at on your website. So the very product they've been looking at now shows in the ad, and so that's going to give them more incentive. The ad's more relevant to click on that ad and then come back to your site and complete that purchase. And again, once they've bought from you, then we stop showing ads so it doesn't get annoying or creepy. Google Tag Manager, another piece of the puzzle. That is the code. These are all of the additional steps to install the dynamic remarketing code through Google Tag Manager. There's 39 steps there. I wouldn't want to do this. Frankly, I've been running this agency 13 years. I've been doing Google Ads for a very long time. But this stuff, leave it to the expert. Unless you're a coder, don't go near this stuff. Find a coder, hand this stuff off. So, free resources for you. That big checklist of the 50 plus steps, the links to all of those Help Center articles and the free resources so you can dig deeper into whichever one of those you need more help with. I'll give you a copy of this video just to make it easy so that you can hand this off to someone. Our naming convention sheet, we get asked a lot, or I get asked a lot, certainly when I go and speak, for little things like this, like how do you name stuff? Because if you set the thing up the right way, it's much easier to manage later on. So that may or may not be useful to you, I don't know, but there's about 100 rules in there that we use to name everything from our campaigns to our conversion tracking, everything in between. That last document I showed you, the 4 pages of gobbledygook there, that's the dynamic remarketing code. So exactly all of those 39 steps that you need to get that set up the right way, because it is probably going to be the best campaign that you run. And I'll give you that Data Studio template that I mentioned so that you don't have to do any work. It's a wonderful tool, but staring at a blank page in Data Studio the first time you fire that up is a horrible feeling. So I've created all of the charts and reports for you. All you have to do is link your Google data and then away you go. I hope that's useful for you. I hope that this gets you up and selling, getting more revenue in the door, selling more products so that you can get on with running your business. That's why our businesses exist. We want you to have the freedom and the time to do what you love doing and not have to worry about all of this geeky stuff. So go to websavvy.com.au/Shopify, get your free resources there, do whichever bits you want to do, hand off the rest. Yes, if you want help, there's a link on that page. We can help, but it's not about that. Please just get this done. I meet so many retailers that are only running ads on Facebook, And if that's you, you're leaving so much money on the table. Hopefully, after the last 20 minutes or whatever that was, you understand that that's the case. And at least you got a starting point now. Yes, there's a lot to it. It's a damn sight easier in Facebook. I know there's 50 steps to get this working well on Google Ads, but it is worth the pain. You're going to go through the pain once, and then you'll be up and running like those other retailers I showed you at the beginning. So good luck, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.